Let's move on and tell you about how the United States military disabled an oil tanker empty Lexie in international waters after the vessel ignored repeated warnings and continued sailing towards Iran's Kurg Island. This has once again put the world on edge. Our next report gets you more.
A single missile, one flash across the sky, one direct hit. And suddenly, the fragile ceasefire between the United States and Iran looked more fragile than ever. On June 2nd, the U.S. military did something extraordinary. According to U.S. Central Command, an American aircraft fired an AGM-114 Hellfire missile into the engine room of a Botswana-flagged oil tanker called the MT Lexie. The vessel was sailing toward Iran's Kurg Island, one of Tehran's most important oil export hubs. Washington says the ship repeatedly ignored warnings and refused to comply with orders from U.S. forces for nearly 24 hours. The result? A precision strike, not against a warship, not against a military base, but against a commercial tanker. The missile crippled the vessel and prevented it from reaching Iranian waters. CENTCOM says the operation was part of a wider U.S. maritime blockade imposed on Iranian ports in April. According to the U.S. military, 6 commercial vessels have now been disabled and more than 120 redirected under the blockade. But this story isn't just about the ship. It's also about the weapon that stopped it. But what exactly is a Hellfire missile? Originally designed as a precision battlefield weapon, the AGM-114 Hellfire is one of America's most accurate air-to-surface missiles. Traveling at speeds above Mach 1 and capable of striking targets more than 10 kilometers away, the missile is designed to hit with surgical precision. Launched from drones, helicopters, and aircraft, the Hellfire can destroy vehicles, bunkers, and small vessels while minimizing collateral damage. That's precisely why it was reportedly used in this operation. Powerful enough to disable a ship's engine room, but precise enough to avoid sinking the vessel outright. Originally developed during the Cold War as an anti-tank weapon, the Hellfire has evolved into a multi-role missile used across battlefields around the world. It is relatively compact, roughly 1.6 meters long, weighing around 45 to 50 kilograms depending on the variant. But don't let its size fool you. The Hellfire packs a devastating punch. Many variants use laser guidance, allowing operators to hit targets with remarkable accuracy. Others use radar guidance, enabling so-called fire-and-forget capability. The missile can be launched from helicopters, drones, aircraft, vehicles, and naval platforms. Its greatest strength? Precision. Military planners often choose the Hellfire when they want to disable a specific target while limiting damage to surrounding areas. That precision is exactly why it has become one of the most widely used tactical missiles in the U.S. arsenal. And in this case, according to CENTCOM, the target wasn't the entire tanker. It was the engine room, enough to stop the ship without sinking it. But the story didn't end there. Hours after the tanker strike, CENTCOM says Iran responded. American forces reported intercepting multiple Iranian drones and ballistic missiles launched toward regional targets. The U.S. says missiles fired toward Kuwait fell short or broke apart. Others aimed at Bahrain were intercepted by American and Bahraini air defense systems. Iran's Revolutionary Guard, meanwhile, described its actions as retaliation for what it called American aggression. And Washington answered once again. This time targeting what CENTCOM described as an Iranian military ground control station on Keshem Island near the Strait of Hormuz. The result is a dangerous cycle: strike, retaliation, counterstrike, and escalation. Because the Strait of Hormuz isn't just another waterway. Roughly a fifth of the world's seaborne oil trade passes through this narrow corridor. Any confrontation here can ripple through energy markets, shipping lanes, and global diplomacy. And that's what makes the MT Lexie strike so significant. It wasn't merely about one ship or one missile. It was a demonstration of how quickly a single precision strike can send shockwaves across one of the world's most volatile regions. And as Washington and Tehran continue their dangerous game of pressure and counter-pressure, The missile may have hit its target, but the wider crisis is still very much in motion.
Ahead of the crucial NATO summit in Turkey, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has urged European nations to step up to defend their own territory themselves. So is this yet another sign of the growing divide between U.S. and Europe? Watch this.
A sharp warning from Washington is fueling a new debate inside NATO ahead of a critical summit in Turkey. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says NATO countries must step up and be able to conventionally defend their own sovereign national territory, signaling growing U.S. pressure on European allies to take greater responsibility for their own security. Rubio also challenged how some members calculate defense spending, warning that military commitments must be backed by real capabilities, not accounting tricks.
You can't say that pensions for former soldiers and sailors is part of your 5% or your 3.5. I mean, that can't happen. But the bigger challenge that much of Europe faces, many countries in NATO faces, their economies are not growing, and in order to spend more money on defense, they're going to either have to raise taxes or cut social programs.
Rubio's remarks land at a sensitive moment for the alliance.